Hello there, morons. It's Victor, King of the Morons, here on a snowy January 2nd morning. It's about, I don't know, let's see, 8 a.m., what's that, 9 a.m.? Let's see the time here. 9:25 a.m. Yes, and I'm in a very small countryside, well, suburban, jinja. It's a shrine. And it's snowing, as you can see. It's beautiful. And today, got my waterproof iPhone case, and I'm set up here to answer your stupid questions. I'm going to do 3 of them today, 3 different videos, right? We're going to start with the first one, which is the oldest. The oldest one comes from a guy named Mike F. And this is actually the one I've not answered before, kind of interesting. He says, hi, my name is Michael. I'm interested in Japan most of my life, though it was more out of respect and interest in the culture and products until the recent years. Now my interest lies in visiting and checking the possibilities of living there as a permanent resident. Now I'm sure you get many of these kinds of emails, but this is the point. When expressing my interest, I've caught a lot of heat from family and friends, usually with the same phrasing, where is your patriotism? What is so bad about America? Japan isn't as free as America. I don't really know what to say to some of these questions. To some of the things they question me about, so I'm hoping you and the Moran Army have a bit more experience with this. So I've come to ask you, knowing both countries, as you do, I'm asking in your experience and not simply statistical data. That's good, because that's something I can offer. I didn't look up anything. I should have, I guess I should have looked it up, but what are some of the pros and cons of Japan vs. America? Income, taxes, freedoms, etc. Okay. So, of course, I welcome anyone to answer this question as well, because I stand behind the imperial flags of Japan. Look at this. Let's just take a little time out to check out this little jinja. So it's January 2nd. Someone has dropped a glove. You see gloves all over Japan broken. Here's a little place to put some money. I guess I should put some money in here. Do I have any money with me? I don't think I brought any money with me. I brought no money with me, so yeah, I have no money. So, sorry, I'll come back later. Look at this. Just little things we see here before I get to the answer. That's squid, vegetables. Oh, there's some money. Look, 100 yen right there. Oh, there's a buck right there. Yeah. Some mochi in the package. Mochi outside with some oranges. Some more rice, some sake. I don't know if there's any sake in there actually. No. Well, so yeah, there's something in there actually. There's some kind of liquid. There's some dried kaki, persimmons, I think. There's some mushrooms. This is a veritable, well, you know, you could come here, you could take all these things and make a big stew. Okay, so I'll answer your question as we walk around. Good question. I haven't had that one before. What is better, Japan or America? Well, of course, it's a subjective question, and it really depends on you. Millions of people, this is what you have to remember in the end, in my opinion. Millions of people live in both countries. Millions of people live in every country in the world. Of course, some places are better than other places for one simple reason: you will not be killed. So of course, let's take care of that right now. Places where they're having wars and where there's no law, where people are murdered like in places. I'm sure some countries in Africa, maybe Liberia or Somalia or places like that, or where they have, you know, they don't have health. I mean, the health, not even the healthcare, it's just that disease is rampant, you know. Places where lions are eating you. There's apparently some villages, and I forget what African country, where lions are eating people. There were like 80 people killed by lions last year. Forget about those countries. Let's talk about America and Japan only, of course. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but that is one. I'm getting to the point. One reason that you might want to think about living in Japan is that crime here is just no big deal. No one is going to come down the street and mug you like in America. I mean, it's possible, but it's really, really rare. It's something, and you have to excuse me, I have a cold, so I'll be sniffling a little bit. But there is something called katsuage, which is a kind of mugging. But the only case I've heard of it is like other high school kids doing it to other high school kids. Like a high school kid will come up to a high school kid in a bookstore, seriously, at the magazine rack and say, dude, give me 1,000 yen. You know? They'll just threaten them into doing it. And that's it. That's the only kind of real mugging that you get. Why? You don't have to look at me while I talk. Look at the scenery. So that's one thing that's really important. When it comes to taxes and such, I don't really see it that much of a difference. You know, I mean, unless you're going to be super rich, I'm sure there's probably some bracket. America is apparently better for really rich people. You've probably heard a lot of people move from England to America because the taxes are cheaper in America, things like that. When it comes to Japan, I tend to think that most Japanese would rather stay in Japan with their money. You know, I think my parents, when they owned a house a few years ago, they had to pay something like $8,000 a year in just property tax. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I pay like less than $1,000 a year on property tax. Now, of course, I'm sure my property in Japan is much smaller than in America, but it's not that bad. You know, the taxes here are not that bad. You've got a car tax or the shaken, which is not really a tax, but they cover it up as some kind of inspection bullshit. But there are certainly a lot of costs to living in Japan that are different. For example, the healthcare. The first year you come over as a foreigner, you have to pay like $15 a month for healthcare. And you might think, well, if you've got any logical, if you're logical at all, you should realize that that's nothing and you should just pay it and shut up. $15 is nothing. And if you ever need some dental care or something taken care of, it's really worth it. I mean, when I go to the dentist, it's like literally, it's been sometimes 100 yen, like $1 a visit. The most of it I think I've ever paid is like $35. And that's after having, you know, like some major work done, right? So there's that. There's that to think about. Though, here's the problem. When you start making real money, you'll find out that your monthly healthcare payments jump. So I think I'm paying, and anyone who's smart can figure out my salary now, but I think I'm paying like 300 to 4, somewhere in the 300, I don't really know it right now because it just goes out of the bank and I forget such things, but $300 to $400 a month just for my healthcare benefits. Which, look at those oranges over there. Can you guys see that? That tree is full of oranges, covered with snow now. So that's how much I pay. $300 to $400 a month comes out of my, so that's like what, $5,000 a year I'm paying just for healthcare. Okay. Now, that's crime, health. What was the other thing he asked about? I forgot already. Health, then there's crime, right? Let's see. Freedom, okay, freedoms. Okay, you can't have a gun in Japan. And to some of you, that might think like an amazing curtailing of your freedom. But if nobody has a gun in a society, I think that's pretty much the best thing. Yes, occasionally there will be some nut with a knife that comes out and attacks people, but it's so rare. And it causes much less damage than a guy with a gun coming out. It is possible to own a gun in Japan if you live in parts like Hokkaido where there are bears, or you go hunting like you're a legitimate hunter. You can apply for it. There are very, very strict rules to keeping guns in Japan. For example, just a minute, let me throw on my glove here, it's getting cold. For example, you have to keep the ammunition and the gun in separate places. You also have to draw a map to the layout of your house and indicate on the layout exactly where you keep your gun, where you keep your bullets, and you have to turn that into the cops. And I think they're even allowed to come in and inspect like any time. Like, we just come by to make sure your bullet's in the same place indicated on the map, on the layout that you drew. Things like that. I could be wrong about that, but something like that. Anyway, it's pretty strict to have a gun. For most normal people, you will never own a gun in Japan. So forget about owning a gun. So if a gun's important to you, do not come to Japan. Now at the same time, crime is so minor here. That kind of crime, violent crime, is so insignificant here that you're not going to need a gun. And you might think, well, what if a crazy person gets a knife and starts stabbing people? Well, you know what? Those crazy people exist everywhere in the world. There's nothing really you can do about crazy people. You can have a gun in America, but you know, if there's a crazy person, he's going to find a way to do something crazy. I mean, come on, Oklahoma bombings. There are things you just cannot guard against. Just the other day I read a terrible story about a young mother whose 2-year-old reached into her bag, I think it was Missouri or something, grabbed in a supermarket. The woman stepped away, she left the 2-year-old alone in the supermarket, in the shopping cart. This is beautiful. For just 2 minutes. and the kid reached into the bag, grabbed the mother's gun, and shot the mother dead. Now, I'm really surprised that more people are not like up in arms about shit like this. You know, it was an accident and everything, I know, but that's fucked up. It's fucked up that we have to live in a society that, well, not me anymore, but, and I don't say that proudly actually. I'm not really proud of living in Japan, I just happen to live here, but I think it's fucked up that any society exists where you have to have a gun in your purse and then your son can kill you. That's just so fucking sad, and I'm sorry to be cursing, but when I read that story I was like, that's so fucked up. That 2-year-old kid that killed his mom. Oh man, that really hit me. And that kind of shit is never going to happen in Japan. You're never going to have accidental deaths. There's so many accidental shootings in America every year. I don't know the stats on that, but you can look it up. I think that's a fucked up thing to happen, or to be happening all the time. I mean, it happens all the time. And yeah, okay, I understand. There are bad people in America, and you have to have a gun sometimes to protect yourself from those bad people, from robbing your store. And there are great videos I'm sure you've seen of some old lady coming out of a jewelry store protecting her stuff and shooting at bad guys, like 7 or 8 guys get run out of a store or something. But if you ask me, here's something a little philosophical. Owning a jewelry store is basically asking to get robbed. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but there's something in I read in it's a Taoist idea, and I may be wrong about this, but it doesn't matter where it comes from. The idea is pretty valid. When you're wearing jewelry, you are basically showing people what you have and they do not have. If everyone had the same jewelry, nobody would wear it, right? If everyone wore the same exact, set of diamonds or necklaces, or gold necklaces, it wouldn't be something you'd wear, right? They probably wouldn't be that popular. But the beauty, which is of course subjective, the beauty of wearing jewelry is telling people, look at this beautiful thing that I have and you do not have. So when someone wears a diamond tiara or necklace, it's special, right? Because nobody else has one. Anyway, that's really off tangent there, but yeah, back to guns. Japan has no guns, that's great. Japan has very little violent crime, that's great. Now, patriotism. Japan has also very little open patriotism. Now, I told you in previous videos that I'm not one of those people that is like, USA, USA, and I'm not proud to belong to any group. I know a lot of you human beings, we human beings, I guess I'm one of you, yes. Well, look at that. I can't tell if I could walk across that. If I step on that, what's underneath? I could fall. I don't know what that's made out of there, so I'm gonna avoid that. But it's really cold. Not that cold, I guess. Just my hands are cold. Whoa! Shit, almost. This is really slippery. I'm gonna fall. Watch this. Very careful. Very careful as I walk across this slanted metal grating. Whoa! I just slipped. Oh, okay. There used to be frogs in the summer here. Little bastards are not here now. Okay, back to the question. I forgot. Freedom. Oh, patriotism. Yes. I'm patriotic. There have been many times where I thought I'm going to go to war for my country. When Reagan. No, I'm sorry, Reagan. Reagan. That's our friend Reagan. When Ronald Reagan, I think, attacked Libya. Was it? I'm not sure what country he attacked, but he attacked some country, and I thought, that's it. I think I was 18 and in college, and I saw it on TV, and I actually thought, I have to go fight for my country. It's my duty. And I would have done it, So, I mean, I have that level of patriotism, but I have no illusions that, I have anything to be proud of because I'm American. It's completely luck, I had no choice. My parents immigrated to America when I was a kid. I don't know where, I'm just walking into the wilderness here. I don't know if I'm going to get stuck here. Jesus, look how deep. Well, it's deep in some places, but... so I don't really understand that kind of patriotism. But moving to another country doesn't make me more Japanese. I'm not more Japanese. I'm not Japanese at all. I'm American in my heart, in the way I think, in the way I am. Ducks. Little ducks. you know, I'm American. It doesn't make me less American. And if America ever needed me, I guess I'd go back, you know. Unless it were for something really stupid. Like if America just started attacking other countries randomly, and they were saying, everyone who got to fight. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. But if it were for some legitimate reason, there's a car coming up behind me. I can see myself fighting for America if I thought the cause was legitimate at all, you know. So, there you go. Must look pretty strange. Yeah, so when it comes to patriotism, moving to another country doesn't make you less patriotic, I believe. However, I will tell you this, Mikey buddy, as I'm making this video for you. I think it's dumb to even consider becoming a resident, living permanently in another country, unless you've actually been here. I will tell you the minor points, okay, the minuses, okay? Here's some minuses quickly. I gotta give you some minuses, okay? Japanese are not spontaneous. So, even if you make friends here in Japan, which is not an easy thing to do, but even if you make friends here, and you say, hey, let's get together, like they're like, no, we're not going to get together because you didn't like make an appointment weeks ahead of time, you know. It takes days ahead of time to like get people to do things here. Generally speaking, Japanese are not spontaneous. Of course, some are. You'll have to find them, and they're harder to find. And you know, because of the language barrier, they're not going to be that easy to communicate with. Even if your Japanese gets really good, you're going to find this problem here. And even if your Japanese gets really good, there's always going to be people who want to speak English with you. So that's kind of annoying, especially strangers. I would say honestly, I wouldn't say I have that many Japanese friends. I have a few. And a lot of them, you know, I actually speak English with. So there's that there as well. It's hard. I think it's harder to make friends here in Japan, though. It's really easy to be friendly in Japan. So it depends on you. Like I'm okay with my family. I've got my wife and I've got her family, and they seem to accept me pretty well. You know, they all like me and they don't treat me any different. And they don't ask me dumb, annoying questions like, "Can you use chopsticks?" and "Can you eat this food?" They're pretty accepting. So if you can find some level of acceptance, yes, if you can find a level of acceptance that you are comfortable with, then you'll be okay. However, some of you, I know, need more. Some of you need more than that. I have my Gaijin friends too, so that fulfills my need of social. You know, everyone has a certain need of. We're social animals. We are social animals. We need people to spend time with and do things with. And I have a few foreign friends, and I have you guys on YouTube. And believe it or not, it helps communicating with you guys in my own language. Is less stressful than trying to figure out how to say things in Japanese, which I can do, and my Japanese will probably be much better. Look at that, that's beautiful. Look at that. My Japanese would probably be much better if I only spoke Japanese all the time. I mean, it's pretty damn good, but it could always be better, right? Hell, my English could be better. You've seen me struggle on this channel to find the proper word on occasion. So this is a long ass answer, but yeah, I think it's a lonelier country when it comes to personal communication and things like that. But here's the other thing that's kind of interesting. I was reading about friendship the other day on Wikipedia, because I took some psychology courses in college, and I remember the definition of friendship according to those books. Was something like, basically friends are people who do things for each other. It's a tit-for-tat kind of relationship. And it sounds cynical a little bit, but it pretty much is, you know. And I was mentioning the other day how I had helped a friend, like I spent hours helping this guy with his video. And when it came to doing the Christmas collab, like I was like, "Can you do a quick video?" He's like, sure. But he never got around to it, you know. Like I called him weeks ahead of time. Called him days before, called him the night of, called him a few hours before. He's like, oh, sorry, I'm not going to get around to it. You know, so in my mind, you know, it's pretty obvious that what I considered, well, the person I considered a friend, obviously I don't rate high enough in his book to be worth that kind of favor. So it would be silly for me to invest any more time, energy, or emotion into that friendship. So that would be an example of something that just, you know, the tit I gave tit, I didn't get tat. So there's no tit for that there. Now, anyway, reading back to the topic here, I was reading about friendship and how it differs from culture to culture. And there was one criticism about Americans that I'd never thought about, and it's that American men are so, generally speaking, innately homophobic, that they're so scared of being labeled gay that this prevents them from forming really strong male friendships sometimes with other people. Now, I know you've heard the expressions like bromance and things like that, but I guess I can see that. I remember in college, I had a buddy, Jeff, and I've mentioned him before. There's a video I got that pretty much tells you why I got on YouTube, which is called Truth, if you look it up. It's about Jeff's death. And Jeff and I in college, you know, we used to, not even, yeah, it was in college, I don't know. Anyway, about that time, 21, before going to Japan, like we would give each other, we would sleep in the same bed. Of course, and we were not, nothing happened, of course. But we were not afraid of that. It was just like, we were both sharing an apartment and there was no other room. We had this king-size bed and we both shared it. And occasionally, you know, like, occasionally, he would, in his sleep, you know, like, put his hand on me and kind of grab me a little bit. I'm like, oh, dude, and, like, wake him up, and vice versa. I think very rarely, but we weren't. Anyway, there was no fear of being labeled a homosexual or anything like that. And we were both very heterosexual. We both had girlfriends and shit like that. And you know, someone would sleep on the couch when we had a girl over. It was, you know, it was young. We were young. So, but we would give each other back massages and shit. And in front of other people, it wasn't like romantic or anything weird like that. But see, even now, I'm having to justify it because I guess I'm probably a little bit homophobic. I'm walking by a little tiny street, and there's people in the houses looking out the window like me. there's a shrine up here, or a temple. I think it's a shrine. Look at this. There's little farms. But this is kind of interesting. Huh? Yeah. This is do not enter. This is private property. Do not enter. So, I mean, there are certain levels of friendship that humans need, and I think that level might be a little bit difficult to attain with Japanese. The other thing about Japan that's difficult is Japanese pretty much already have all their friends. They don't need any more friends. So they might want to be friendly with you, and there'll be a lot of people interested in you just because you're a foreigner. And they will be very friendly, but that does not mean you're going to develop a strong friendship, at least not easily. It's possible, but it takes years. It takes a long time. Yeah. And the other thing about Japanese that's really weird, it's so I'm sorry, let's go back. Something very important. Japanese have friends since junior high school, since elementary school. So when it comes to as they get older, they feel like those positions are basically filled. You know, they don't need any more friends. And they do have their old friendships. The other day I went to a coffee shop with Yoko and her 2 junior high school friends, which is amazing to me. That they were all very, very friendly with each other. It was obvious that although they hadn't seen each other in years, they were really, really comfortable with each other. So I don't see, actually, even in my life here with my wife, I don't see her really making many new friends. She has new friends from her job that she started a couple years ago, but they don't really come to the house or anything. Yeah, most of our friends are old friends. Yeah, so making new friends is hard. I would say that's something difficult here. That's a negative of Japan. And here's another weird thing about Japan. People seem to enjoy cutting you off. I noticed that not just gaijin, but anyone. Like if you're really friendly with a group for a while, and then someone just like moves or gets a new job, you basically never hear from that person again. they basically cut you off, or someone quits a school or something, or you know, like the Eikaiwa stuff, you know. English school. That's really snowing now. Look at this little tiny place, tiny temple here. So I have this idea that, yeah, things are, people just cut people off here. I have this and I've seen it, I've heard other foreigners talk about this too. You know? So if for some reason something happens and the connection, the natural connection is not there, they're quite quick to just cut you off forever. That's it. And when you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, when it's over, then it's over. And you're probably not going to remain friends. It's very rare that you remain friends with an ex. By the way, these are all the things that they bring here to burn. So these are things that they adorn their houses with every year. At the end of the year, they put them in here and they are burned. They have a burning thing. I think it happens like the 6th day or something like January. Anyway. So that's my answer for Mike, my long-ass laundry video. I hope you guys realize this was a laundry video as we walk around a little country village, little country shrine here. And that's the first one. I've got 2 more for you coming up in a minute. So that's the first one. Enjoy that. And I hope I answered the question. When it comes to your parents, you're basically, I don't think I actually give you really any solid advice about your parents. Just tell them, look, I love, if you're patriotic and you love America, tell them, reassure them, hey, I'm American. And screw that, you know, whatever your last name is. Let's say your last name is a Smith, you know, hey, I'm a Smith and I'm going to be a Smith for, I know that's a really not a very original example there, but tell them your family name, say, I am family name here, enter family name here, and I will always be that, so don't worry, Mom and Dad, I'll always love you guys, and I'm not leaving forever, I'm just gonna go over there and check it out. Don't tell them you're going over there to live forever, that's a dumb thing to say. Just tell them you're gonna go check it out. And then later, when they get the idea, you know, my parents, when I first came over here, they're like, when are you gonna move back, when are you gonna move back? And after a while they gave up. Now they're pretty fine with me not moving back, and they're okay. So we try to see each other every year or so, not a big problem. And that's it, yeah. Okay, thanks for watching. Good luck, Mike. And talk to you guys soon.
Give me a break, man.